Okay, so in the news, this was actually an article from last week, but I just completely forgot to say it, so I'm doing it this week. But it might be some old news. But the Oscars ceremony for next year has been pushed back from end of February now to end of April, which is
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the question then is the cutoff date for like Oscars availability going to be moved as well?
Well, you'd assume so. You'd assumed it'd be moved to the end of February then, or at least
Maybe. Well, then,
because if they're giving an extra 2 months, you would expect them to give an extra 2 months for films to get in.
maybe. Oh, well, I mean, the problem is then, I mean, films are already taking the piss with like coming out in time to be Oscar eligible, but still not coming out properly until like March.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is going to be like, oh yeah, it's a 2020 release. It's on a private cinema in LA for 5 people in March 2021, and then it'll go on general
Yeah.
release in like May 2021. But it's a 2020
Yeah.
release. You must understand.
Well, I reckon it'll be just dominated with Netflix stuff, won't it? Or streaming stuff at least, because
That's
they're eligible now, aren't they?
Yeah, I
So,
think we did mention that last time, or not last time, but like we have mentioned it. That
ages
they've
ago.
now,
Yeah.
there's the minimum barrier about like a cinema release has been got rid of, as has the sound mixing category.
Yeah.
So that's good at least. But I mean, the interesting thing is like what the Oscars will look like next year, considering. But I do want. I mean, there has been several things coming out on like streaming services throughout the crisis and the lockdown. So it's not
Yeah.
like there's been no films coming out. But I don't think. I mean, to be fair, most of it
Maybe
gets.
Extraction will get Best Picture.
No, we know it will be Sonic. Come on.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Sorry. Sorry.
But I mean, I think like to be fair, most of the things which get Oscar nominated come out really late in the year anyway.
Yeah.
And from the looks of things, we're going to be more or less out of lockdown by about August anyway. So maybe it'll be relatively normal. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, probably. It's only because the production have been cut off as well, haven't they?
That's the thing, and I think films are now starting to go back into production. But I've been reading on like some of the groups I'm in on Facebook and stuff. Like some people have had to go and rewrite a script and make some of the scenes like COVID safe. So like a scene which was written indoors originally is now to be moved outdoors as long as it doesn't affect the story.
Really?
This is something I've read.
Can't they just set it? Oh, right. I see what you mean. For
Because
the actors to be COVID safe.
Yeah. So they can film it now and have it come out when
Right.
it's supposed to come out.
I see.
I think they're only doing it on like scenes where it's like it doesn't matter either way. But like,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. So we're gonna have a lot of outdoor
So there'll
cinematography.
be like a considerable lack of intimacy in scenes, won't there?
I would love to see like a sex scene cut together, but during like 2 meter social distance. So we've got like just like telephoto lens close-ups of each of them and just Kuleshov effect it all.
Really could work.
Yeah, just forced perspective even.
Yeah.
It's like when they're on really far away. One close camera just position the cameras are like on top of each other. It can work.
Yeah, it could work. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's basically all the news. I mean, the main thing is obviously with the blog. Well, I mean, I'll do it now on the podcast anyway. The Oscars round, we have to move it to later in the year.
Yeah, that's what kicked us off.
Yeah. I'm always excited for it. I mean, the Oscars aren't great for many reasons, but I just
Yeah,
love
they're
them as a thing to talk about. Like, I get so angry over them as well.
Yeah. It's very. Yeah, they aren't really cracked up to what they're meant to be, are they?
No, I mean, what the problem is, they're so political in terms of like, I mean, the fact that when we do our predictions for the awards, it's no longer about was the best film. It's about which one is the Academy going to go for.
Yeah, which one ticks the most boxes?
Yeah, which illustrates the divide. Because if you like, if you go to the 70s even, the Best Picture nominees for like 1977 included Star Wars. Like Jaws was a Best Picture nominee. Like they were nominating the best successful films of the year, the ones which had the most acclaim. And now it's not all Beatty. A lot of the time they will normally have a few which are like genuinely deserving. Like last year, The Parasite, of course.
Yeah.
But last year was actually a reasonably good selection. But like it is definitely more about just there's a lot of sort of baiting going on.
Well, because the Post one. Do you remember the Post?
I do.
About the Washington Post, which for some reason my dad watched, right, and then like 2 weeks later watched, or even maybe a week later, like watched again, but watched like a janky subtitled version from YouTube, like, and then couldn't remember having seen it the first time round. And I was like, I witnessed this film. It's not that good. Clearly, it's very forgettable.
Yeah, I exclusively remember The Post just because it was like the most baity Oscar film I've ever seen. The fact that it just has completely slunk away into the shadows of history is very satisfying to me. Because
like, it won, and it's like, how?
It didn't.
Did it not win?
No.
I thought it won.
No, what was that, 2017? I think Shape of Water won instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember it being like... Oh yeah, 2017.
Well, the thing is, it was just like the basis I've ever seen. It was like, okay, so it's based on a true story, and it's about like, you know, the media, you know, box one.
Best actress.
Oh, okay. Was that for Meryl Streep, perchance?
Yes, of course it was.
Because Meryl Streep's in it, which is the other baity thing. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. That's another baity thing. It's just, it was like such a box ticky kind of film. It played everything so safe. Like the trailer sent me to sleep.
It's such a fucking old person's film.
Yeah, well, then the Academy are all old white people, though, aren't they? They're all like in
their
60s.
That is true. But also, like, print media's fucking dead, right? Who cares? Firstly,
yeah,
it's about Watergate, which is not controversial at all, really, anymore, because it's
pretty like, clear cut. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like the whole crux of the film is, oh, should we post this thing because it's technically breaking the law? And it's like, well, you know who else broke the fucking law? And it's just like, yeah, it's just dumb. It's just so, like, it's such a, you know, obviously old person film. Like, because the old people were the only ones who'd give a fuck.
Well, the other thing as well that I find, which is probably why the Oscars have gone so much like this sort of this back and forth game of stuff, is because obviously to have a film nominated in the Oscars, you have to fund an Oscar campaign. So all that happens is, like, if you want your film to be nominated, you just, like, send a for your consideration DVD package to the Academy. You organise, like, a really fancy dinner where you invite all of them around. It's all just, like, money.
Yeah, it is. I've heard that. There was a film that had some controversy about it because of that reason. I think it is Shakespeare in Love, possibly.
Maybe.
A film that everyone didn't think was very good, but it still won the Best Picture Oscar. And it's because, like, the producer or someone spent a shitload of money on you know, the Oscar campaign thing.
Which is also why you just never see, like, indie films in the like nominations. You might get indie like Whiplash or Birdman if you're very lucky, and they've got like a good enough like buzz or like people involved. But, like, you know, I mean, to be fair, Moonlight got an Oscar nomination, I suppose, and that was definitely indie.
Well, Parasite, arguably, as well.
Well, I mean, Parasite, sure. But still, Bong Joon-ho is like a big, you know, he's probably the most famous South Korean director besides like Park Chan-wook. And he has done English stuff before, so he has some draw to him. Like, he's not indie in the same way as, like, say, Robert Eggers, who can, well, I don't know if he'd, like, put Lighthouse forward at all. He probably didn't nominate it, because, I mean, I don't think he cared. I feel like he wouldn't care about that.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the people who make the indie films are also probably going to be anti-Oscars, aren't they? And anti-Hollywood.
Probably, yeah.
Which is a shame, like, because fair enough having that sentiment, but there's a difference between having that sentiment and, you know, refusing to use any of the pre-existing things.
Well, I mean,
because fuck you. But then I think a better way is to use the pre-existing things to do something better with it, to improve those things.
Yeah, but not all indie.
Do you know what I mean?
Not all indie directors are Lars von Trier, though.
No, true.
I think that's a bit of a generalisation.
But there was another thing, like, we studied these, I can't remember where specifically, but they were South American filmmakers, and they used the thing called, they may have been Colombian, actually. I can't remember, I'm not sure. But somewhere in South America, and they used this thing called guerrilla filmmaking.
Oh, yeah.
So they would make these fucking guerrilla films, and it's like, oh, they cannot be shown in America or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, no one's fucking heard of you.
Wait, hang on, there's no reason a guerrilla film can't be shown in America, surely?
Well, I think they were like, we don't want this to be shown in theatres. We were like, we want to travel around and show it to people.
Yeah, that's not going to do very well.
There was this whole thing about they don't want just anyone to see it or something. It was like, well, you're not really furthering your cause, are you?
Surely if you don't want anyone to see it, you don't make a film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also what the point of media is, to share stories with people.
Yeah, it was like I said with fucking Dogma 95. Like, what's the fucking point then? Those things exist for a reason.